What's going on, everyone? Today we're starting seeds, and I'm really excited about it. Now, some of the stuff we're starting in today's episode is going to be a little bit early. I know what you're probably thinking, Luke, you're super early. Yes, we are a little bit early, but I'll explain why. I'm just really excited about it, and I hope through this video you're going to be encouraged to start some seeds as early as I am, because some of the benefits might be pretty amazing. Let's go. So like I said, I don't need to be a mind reader to know that you're probably thinking, Luke, it's mid-February. What are you doing? You should be waiting till like mid-March or even late March to start your seeds. Isn't that something that we should be doing, is waiting, because won't we have plants that are too big and they're gonna be too stressed? That's only if you don't have the space or the lights. They will be stressed and you should wait. But assuming you have the lights and you have the space, starting early will always afford you a luxury, notice I said luxury, a luxury of having larger, more mature, healthier plants to move out in the garden. Prime example is, we're not starting these right now, but peppers. A lot of you write in saying, how early can I start my peppers? And I simply tell people, you could start your peppers as early as you want. Oftentimes, in climates like what we have here in Michigan, you may only get, if you start your seeds in early April, late April, by the time you move them out into the garden and they actually get growing and mature and they start to fruit, you might only have enough time in your entire growing season for 1 or 2 harvests. And that may be fine with you. That might also be very discouraging. Simply starting sooner is going to give you more time, a longer growing season, because you're adding it onto the beginning rather than the end. You're adding more days that plant is growing, and that's more of a chance of getting more of a harvest. So just using that as a prime example, starting early is always a luxury, but it will always give you a larger, healthier plant to move out in the garden. All right, so check this out. This is the soil we're using. I'm really excited about this. Now, you don't have to use exactly what we're using. We just happen to have this on hand. If I was making up my own, the first thing I would do is I would either use a base of peat moss or a base of coco coir. We do carry coco coir over at MIgardener.com. Check it out. It's amazing stuff. Same texture as this peat moss is, but this is ProMix. It's ProMix HPM. Stands for high porosity with mycorrhizae. High porosity means it's very spongy. It's very loose, it's very fluffy. It's also well draining. It also has mycorrhizae. That's the beneficial fungi that attaches to plant roots and helps them grow and be sustained. So this has kind of an all-in-one mix, but you absolutely can make your own blend at home using just your base of peat moss or your base of hydrated coco coir. Then add to that about 15% by volume, not by weight, by volume of peat moss, or of perlite, sorry, and 15% by volume of vermiculite. We're gonna add a little bit of trifecta. Add your fertilizer of choice. It doesn't have to be trifecta. That's just what we use. A little bit goes a long way. Put about a 1/4 cup in there. Mix that up, and we're ready to rock. Now, we do need to pre-moisten this. Seed starting is really important to pre-moisten your mix. Always pre-moisten. I cannot stress that enough. When you pre-moisten your mix, what you're doing is you're preventing the settling that will happen. Notice how it's settling right now. You're preventing the settling that's going to happen in your containers, and it keeps the seeds from sinking or floating or moving around, because a lot of these seeds, such as like spearmint, which we're going to be starting, or even this little yellow wonder strawberry, which we're starting here. See this right here? These seeds are so small. And because they're so small, we can't afford them to be floating or sinking or moving around. We're gonna lose track of them. So these, I'm really excited about. These are Bootstrap Farmer 128 cell trays. Now, they're known as a deep tray. These are a lot deeper than your normal cells. And what that allows you to do is allows you to train your roots to go down. It equals a healthier, stronger root system that's gonna transplant a whole lot better. And because we're starting so soon, I want to give them a lot more space to grow down and get more established. So what we're going to do is we're going to start in these. And I also wanted to say, if you are excited about Bootstrap Farmer, these are probably some of the most high quality seed starting trays I've ever seen in my entire life. It's an honor to use them, and it's a pleasure to use them because they're going to last a lifetime. These are going to be available over at MIgardener.com along with a whole host of other Bootstrap Farmer products. Make sure you go check them out over at MIgardener. If they're not up yet, you're probably checking this video out really early. That's awesome. Happy to be a part of the early squad. But if you're watching this later, go check out the website. Sometime in the next few weeks, we're going to have these up. on the website for seed starting season. Really excited about it, and these are awesome because they are such high quality and they're going to give your plants exactly the conditions they need to thrive. So let's fill up these trays with some soil and let's get growing. All right, so underneath, we're going to throw our holeless seed tray. I like to throw a holeless seed tray down here because it's going to capture water, allow us to water from the bottom. Bottom watering is really critical to preventing things like fungus gnats, but also damping off. Really critical to bottom water. It also keeps water from running all over the ground, which is great. So we're going to add our soil to this. One big mistake I see a lot of gardeners making when you put soil in your containers is you pack the living snot out of the soil. You don't have to do that. You do want to prevent compaction. So yeah, you do want it a little bit compacted. But if you're sitting there putting your whole body weight on the soil, trying to get every last millimeter or square inch of soil compressed into those cells, you're going to be doing a couple things. The first thing you're going to be doing is you're actually going to be taking all of that air out of the soil. You're going to be actually robbing those seedlings of the oxygen that the roots need to develop. You're also going to be really encouraging water to be retained in the soil. Big time seed starting mistake, and I will talk about, we're going to do a whole video on seed starting mistakes. I've done them in the past. I got a whole lot more for you. So this is a huge mistake I see a lot of gardeners making, is compacting and compacting and compacting. You not only take out the air, but you increase the amount of moisture that soil is going to hold, because air will dry out faster than a compressed block of soil, and those roots are going to start rotting if you have them in too much water for too long. So that's where you start to get things like damping off and root rot. So do not compress your soil too much. I promise you, you'll thank me later. Now what we're doing is we're just creating a little indentation to hold our seeds, keep them from moving around that much more. All right, so I'm going to run through really quickly all the plants we're going to be starting here right now. First off is Iceland poppies. Now, any poppies, these have been cold stratifying now for about 5 to 6 weeks in the fridge. And so once we pull them out of the fridge, they need to be planted right away. And so we're going to be starting these right now. These just came out of the fridge. I also got some butterfly milkweed. Really excited about this. These have been also cold stratified in the fridge. These have been in the fridge for about 3 to 5 weeks or so. And well, about 5 weeks for us, but they only need about 3 to 5 weeks of cold stratification. Pulling those out, those are going to get started as well. They take a long time to get growing and mature. That's why I want to, and they're a perennial, so I want to get them established. Munstead lavender. So we got some more lavender here. These are about 3 to 5 weeks as well in the fridge for cold stratifying. Also, just now noticed as well, we got some pink mold. If you ever see that on your seeds or your cold stratified seeds, it's very, very common. A lot of people freak out when they hear mold. It's actually just very common household mold. Mold can take on many different colors. There's green mold, there's gray mold, there's pink mold, there's yellow mold, there's black mold. Once you learn that, it's really, really harmless. It just is basic nature. I mean, you take a damp paper towel, touch it all a bunch, and throw it in a fridge where it's sealed in a Ziploc bag, you can't breathe. Crazy things are going to happen. And so nothing really should have happened to these seeds, just really isolated. But if you see that pink, you see it here also on the yellow wonder strawberry, very, very common. So we're going to take those seeds out there. Yellow wonder strawberry as well is going to get started. That's been in the fridge cold stratifying. We also have here, next we got some spearmint. Spearmint is another one. Mints of any kind are really slow to grow. Seeds are really small. You want to get them started as soon as possible because of the fact you're going to have a bigger, healthier plant. Also, please, 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 whatever you do, don't put these in the garden. Put them in a pot. These will spread out of control. Spearmint, any type of mint at all, can really take over the garden, and I don't want to see that happen to you. So put it in a pot. You'll thank me later. Next, hyssop. Anise hyssop is a wonderful crop. I grow it for pollinators. Things like honeybees and butterflies, as well as hummingbirds, love hyssop. It is edible. You can turn it into tea. I use it for the pollinators. It's just absolutely stunning. Those little conical blossoms, incredible. They're stacked up. They get like this tall. They're just beautiful. The plants get giant. Absolutely amazing. I'm going to grow these for a border crop for around my garden to attract pollinators into the garden. Love it. Next, rosemary. Now, if you're not taking cuttings like we've done, you can start your seeds. Start them early. These suckers take a long flipping time to grow. These are slow to germinate and slow to grow. They take about 15 to 25 days just to germinate. And then on top of that, they grow like a snail. They just take forever. So start them early. You'll thank me later. Next, Spilanthes. This is a toothache plant. This one also, microscopic seeds, take a long time to grow and get established. You kind of notice a trend here. The smaller the seed has a tendency to also be a little bit longer to germinate. Not always the case, but more often than not, really small seeds take a long time. They also, when the seeds are small, the sprouts are small. So you want to give them a long time to get up and growing. These do not grow here natively, right? So you want to make sure this is one of those crops. They don't grow natively here. You want to get them started early. That way you have a bigger, healthier plant that's going to move out in your garden so that when the frost does come in the fall, already thinking about fall, you're going to have something that you're going to be able to harvest from. So start your toothache plants as early as you possibly can. French thyme, any type of thyme plant, we're going to start those as well. Reason why is the more time you have them growing in your grow room, the healthier and bigger they're going to be. Also, microscopic seeds take a long time to germinate and a long time to grow. So get your thyme started. Next, Mexican mint marigolds. This is a first for us. We've grown these in the past from seedlings we got from the greenhouse. Never started them from seed before. So we're going to start them from seed. But I've been told they take a long time to sprout, up to 15 days to germinate. But they also grow really slowly as well. So I want to get them started now. That way I have a good chance of having some Mexican mint marigolds because they are really pretty. And also, a lot of you have asked me about how they smell. In my opinion, they don't smell like a regular marigold. Marigolds tend to have kind of a pungent smell. These have a very sweet, almost borderline honeysuckle smell. Very, very beautiful, very fragrant, and wonderful for pollinators. So definitely recommend growing some Mexican mint marigolds, but start them early. And then last but not least, this is kind of the prime example of what I'm talking about with plants that do not natively grow here in Michigan, lemongrass. Now lemongrass can be grown as an annual, right? Grows in the Philippines, grows in tropical climates, all over the place. Very beautiful, huge plants. You get nice big stalks where they grow natively. Here in Michigan though, you gotta kind of twist the rules a little bit. You gotta start them as early as possible because these take a long time to get growing. They actually germinate pretty fast. They only take about a week to germinate. But once they sprout, they take forever to get growing and get up to size. In these little cells here, these little 1 inch by 1 inch cells, these lemongrass seedlings will live here basically almost until about mid to late March. Over a month, they're going to be living in these little cells here. And so they're going to have plenty of time to get up and growing, and then they still have to get out into the garden and start growing there. So it's one that if you can start early, I've started them late. I've started them in like early April, and I've gotten a harvest, but it's not been nearly as amazing as ones that I start early. So start them early. You'll thank me later. All right, so these are all the seeds that I am starting right now for spring. This is by no means an exclusive list of all the things that you could be starting. Again, I want to reiterate that these are seeds that I'm adding to my garden. And so there's so many more plants that exist. I think it's a bit naive to think that you should be following just this list. Do your research. Find crops that like to be started early or that should be started early. Compare your crops to crops that I'm growing, right? Look at the fact that you might be growing in a warmer climate. You might not have to start as early as I do, but you also might live in a colder climate, right? I reach millions of people all over the world. And so where we are at is based on our growing season, where, what we're growing in our growing season, and there's so many variables, right? So do your research. Don't think that I'm like the end all be all. I would never want someone to plan their entire garden exclusively around what I'm talking about and advocating. So gardening is amazing because it bridges all gaps, all walks of life. So do your research first, please. There's so many more plants as well that can be started early. As I said, peppers even could fall into this category. If you wanted to start peppers and you had enough room, absolutely. If your heart desires, you got enough room, you want to start them early, get them started early. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you all learned something new. If you did, make sure to hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already, and also make sure to comment down below with some seeds that you're either starting right now or starting really soon. I'd be curious to know what you're growing in your garden. So as always, thank you so much for watching, and grow bigger. Take care.